Good evening, dear listener, and may your night be wrapped in calm. Settle into this quiet moment, where the world feels soft and still, like a whisper of peace before the stars take over. Imagine the gentle rustle of wind sweeping across ancient plains, carrying the scent of wild herbs and warm earth. Picture moonlight spilling over weathered stone, bathing forgotten villages in a silver glow, their fires flickering like secrets against the dark. Tonight we're stepping back to 2000 BC, to the Bronze Age, a time of raw beauty and relentless challenge. You're about to live a single day in this world, where every task tests your strength. And survival is a story written in sweat and fire. Let's begin, slowly, as the past opens its arms to you. You wake at dawn, or what passes for dawn in this dim, drafty hut. The first thing you notice is the cold, sharp, unrelenting, seeping through the thin layer of animal hides draped over you. No cozy mattress, no thermostat to nudge up. The floor beneath you is packed dirt, gritty against your skin, and the walls, rough-hewn wood and mud, let in slivers of chilly air. You blink, disoriented, half expecting your phone to buzz with a morning alarm. Instead, there's only the distant crow of a rooster and the low moan of wind outside. Your modern instincts scream for coffee, but here, you're lucky if you get a sip of lukewarm water from a clay pot. Rising is a chore. Your body aches from sleeping on the hard ground, and the air smells faintly of damp straw and last night's fire. You fumble for something familiar, a light switch, a faucet, but find only a wooden stool and a basket of dried herbs. The simplicity is jarring. You're used to a world of buttons and screens, where breakfast is a quick microwave hum away. Here, every task is a labor, every comfort earned through sweat. You pull on a tunic of coarse wool, scratching against your skin, and lace up sandals that feel more like punishment than footwear. Already, you're wondering how anyone survives this. Outside, the village is stirring. The sky is a pale wash of pink and gold, casting long shadows over mud brick homes clustered like wary animals. You step into the morning, and the air bites at your exposed arms. A woman nearby kneads dough on a flat stone, her hands moving with a rhythm born of years, while children chase each other with sticks, laughing despite the chill. You try to blend in, but your posture, softened by years of desk chairs, betrays you. These people are lean, weathered, their bodies shaped by endless work. You, with your indoor plumbing and grocery stores, feel like an alien. Your first task is to fetch water, a simple enough goal in your time. Here, it's a pilgrimage. You grab a heavy clay jug, its weight pulling at your shoulder, and trudge toward the river a half-mile away. The path is uneven, studded with rocks that threaten to twist your ankle. You pass fields of emmer wheat, their stalks swaying in the breeze, and catch the faint tang of manure in the air. It's oddly grounding, this scent of life and labor. But your arms are already burning, and the jug isn't even full yet. Imagine spilling it on the way back. Hours of work gone. No wonder these people pray to gods of rain and harvest. At the river, you kneel on the muddy bank, the cold water numbing your fingers as you fill the jug. The current is swift, flecked with foam, and you can't help but think of your kitchen sink, where water flows with a flick of the wrist. A fish darts past, and for a moment, you're tempted to try catching it. Good luck with that. No nets, no rods, just your clumsy hands. You chuckle softly, picturing yourself flailing in the shallows like a bad reality show contestant. The locals would probably laugh too, though they'd hide it behind polite nods. Historically, the Bronze Age marked a leap in human progress. Around 2000 BC, communities in Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley were mastering bronze tools, a blend of copper and tin that revolutionized farming and warfare. But don't romanticize it. These tools were crude, heavy, and prone to breaking. You're not wielding a shiny sword but a dull, pitted blade that takes real muscle to use. The river you're kneeling by? It's not just a water source but a lifeline, central to trade and survival. Villages like yours thrived or perished based on their proximity to such rivers, a fact etched into every muddy step you take. There's a quirk to this world, too. Something that catches you off guard. As you haul the jug back, you notice a small clay figurine tucked into a niche in a nearby wall, a crude, wide-eyed statue of a goddess, maybe a Nana or her kin. These weren't just decorations. People believed they warded off evil or ensured fertility. You can't help but smirk, thinking of your old lucky keychain, now useless in this era. Yet there's something endearing about their faith, their need to carve hope into clay. It's a reminder that even in this harsh world, people clung to small, strange rituals to feel safe. The walk back is brutal. The jug's weight makes your shoulders scream, and sweat beads on your brow despite the morning chill. You pass an old man sharpening a flint knife. His eyes narrowed in focus. He glances up, and you nod, hoping it's the right gesture. Social cues here are a minefield. What if nodding means, "I challenge you to a duel"? You stifle a laugh. Imagining yourself in a Bronze Age standoff, armed with nothing but a water jug. The absurdity helps you keep moving, one aching step at a time. Scholars still debate whether these early villages were egalitarian or rigidly hierarchical. Some argue resources like water were shared freely, while others point to elite burials, stacked with bronze and beads, as proof of early class divides. You feel the tension in the air. The way some villagers carry themselves with quiet authority while others bow their heads. It's not your world, but you're stuck in it. Juggling a jug and a growing sense of dread about what comes next. By the time you reach the hut, the sun is climbing, and your arms feel like overcooked noodles. You set the jug down, careful not to crack it, and collapse onto a stool. The day has barely begun, and you're already exhausted. You think of your air-conditioned office, your ergonomic chair, and sigh. Surviving here isn't just about strength, it's about endurance, patience, and a stubborn refusal to give up. As the village hums around you, alive with purpose, you wonder how you'll make it to noon. Part 2. The sun is higher now, warming the village in a golden haze, though the air still carries a bite. You sit on that wobbly stool, catching your breath. The clay jug of water glinting beside you like a hard-won trophy. Your stomach growls, a sharp reminder that breakfast isn't a granola bar you grab on the way out. Here, food is a project. A puzzle of effort and ingenuity. You're about to learn just how much work goes into a single meal in 2000 BC, and trust me, it's not the farm-to-table fantasy you might picture. The scent of smoke and baking flatbread drifts from a nearby hut, teasing your hunger as you steel yourself for the next task. You're tasked with preparing food. A deceptively simple goal that feels like climbing a mountain. Your host, a wiry woman with calloused hands and a no-nonsense stare, hands you a stone mortar and pestle, heavy enough to double as a weapon. She points to a basket of emmer wheat, its grains coarse and unyielding, and gestures for you to grind it into flour. You nod, trying to look competent. But the moment you start, your arms protest. The grains resist, crunching stubbornly under the pestle, and within minutes, your shoulders are burning. You sneak a glance at your host, who's already kneading dough like it's second nature. She doesn't even break a sweat. You, meanwhile, are wondering if this counts as cardio. The tools at your disposal are laughably basic. There's the mortar, a flint knife with an edge that's more suggestion than reality, and a bronze pot that's seen better days. No food processor. No nonstick pans. Just you and a pile of raw ingredients that demand patience you don't have. You think of your microwave, its cheerful beep signaling instant meals, and let out a quiet sigh. Here, cooking is a full-body workout, and you're already losing. The flour you're grinding is gritty, flecked with bits of husk, and you can't help but wonder how anyone avoids chipped teeth. Spoiler: they don't. Dental care is a distant dream in this era. As you grind, the village hums around you. A man nearby sharpens a bronze axe, the metallic scrape blending with the chatter of neighbors bartering goods. You catch snippets of their talk, something about trading goats for pottery, and it strikes you how everything here is negotiated, earned, or fought for. Your modern life. with its online shopping and next-day delivery, feels like a fever dream. You chuckle softly, imagining trying to explain Amazon to these folks. They'd probably think you're a storyteller spinning tales of magic. And honestly, isn't that what your world would seem like to them? Historically, the Bronze Age was a turning point for agriculture. By 2000 BC, communities in regions like the Fertile Crescent were cultivating crops like wheat and barley, using bronze sickles to harvest fields more efficiently than their Stone Age ancestors. But efficiency is relative. These tools were heavy, prone to dulling, and required constant maintenance. You're not just fighting the wheat but the limitations of the era itself. Every task is a reminder of how precarious life was, how a bad harvest or a broken tool could spell disaster. The flour in your mortar isn't just food, it's survival. Ground out one aching stroke at a time. There's an odd detail that catches your eye as you work. Your host keeps a small pile of charred bones tucked in a corner of the hut, arranged with care. Almost like a shrine. You learn later these are offerings, burned to honor ancestors or appease spirits. It's a quirky habit, one that makes you pause. In your time, you might light a candle for sentiment. Here, they burn bones to keep the unseen at bay. It's strange, but there's a quiet poetry to it, a way of weaving the past into the present. You can't help but respect the impulse, even if it makes your skin prickle. Your flour is finally passable, though it's more grit than powder. Your host takes it without comment, mixing it with water and a pinch of salt to form dough. You're handed the task of shaping it into flatbreads, which sounds easy until you realize the dough sticks to your hands like glue. You fumble, earning a raised eyebrow from your host, and mutter an apology she doesn't understand. It's humbling, this gap between your intentions and your competence. You're used to being capable, but here, you're a novice, tripping over the basics of survival. The fire pit outside is your next challenge. You're supposed to bake the flatbreads on a heated stone, but the flames are fickle, spitting embers that singe your knuckles. You crouch, squinting through the smoke, and try to channel your inner chef. The heat is intense, and the stone is unforgiving. If you misjudge the timing, the bread burns or stays raw. You manage a few lumpy, slightly charred discs, and though they're far from Instagram-worthy, you feel a flicker of pride. Then you taste one. It's tough, grainy, and tastes faintly of ash. You grimace, imagining a pizza delivery app. If only. Scholars still debate how much Bronze Age diets varied across regions. Some argue staple crops like wheat were universal, while others point to evidence of lentils, figs, and even early dairy in certain villages. What's clear is that food was never guaranteed. Drought, pests, or raids could wipe out a season's worth of work. You feel that uncertainty now, in the meager pile of flatbreads and the gnawing hunger still tugging at your gut. This isn't a meal. It's a gamble, one you're not sure you'd win day after day. As you wipe sweat from your brow, your host offers you a sip of watery beer, brewed from barley and served in a chipped clay cup. It's sour, gritty, and barely alcoholic, but you drink it gratefully. The gesture feels like a small victory, a moment of connection in this alien world. You sit back, the fire's warmth easing your aching muscles, and watch the village settle into midday. The sky is a brilliant blue, the air alive with the buzz of flies and the distant bleat of goats. You're exhausted, and it's not even noon. Surviving the Bronze Age, you realize, is less about heroics and more about enduring the grind. One grain, one flatbread, one fleeting moment at a time. Part 3. The midday sun hangs heavy, casting a warm glow over the village, where the air hums with the rhythm of work and chatter. You're still reeling from the ordeal of grinding flour and baking flatbreads, your hands dusted with grit, and your stomach only half satisfied by that tough, ashy bread. The sour tang of barley beer lingers on your tongue, a small comfort as you're pulled into the next task of this Bronze Age day. You're not just a guest here, you're expected to contribute, and now they're handing you a spear. It's time to hunt. The thought sends a shiver through you, not from the breeze but from the weight of what's coming. You're no stranger to grocery stores, but out here, meat doesn't come pre-packaged. You join a small group of hunters, their faces weathered and their eyes sharp with purpose. They move with a quiet confidence. Their bodies lean from years of chasing game across these plains. You, on the other hand, feel like an imposter, clutching a spear that's little more than a sharpened stick tipped with a bronze point. It's heavier than you expected, unbalanced, and the grip is rough against your soft palms. You try to mimic their stance, but your sneakers and sofa lifestyle betrays you. One of the hunters, a wiry man with a scar across his cheek, gives you a sidelong glance. You offer a weak smile, hoping it doesn't scream, "I'm useless." He grunts and turns away. Great start. The trek begins, leading you away from the village and into the wild. The landscape is breathtaking in its rawness, rolling hills dotted with scrubby trees. The grass swaying under a sky so vast it feels like it could swallow you. The air smells of earth and sage, with a faint musk of distant animals. You'd stop to take it in. Maybe snap a photo in your old life, but there's no time for sentiment. The hunters move swiftly, their sandals barely making a sound on the rocky path. You stumble to keep up, your breath coming in short bursts. Cardio, you think wryly, was not your strong suit even in your own time. Your task is to track a herd of gazelles spotted near a watering hole. The hunters point out faint hoofprints in the dirt, their voices low as they read the land like a book. You squint at the ground, seeing only dust and pebbles, and feel a pang of inadequacy. In your world, tracking means checking a delivery app, not deciphering the Earth's secrets. You chuckle quietly, imagining explaining GPS to these men. They'd probably think you're a shaman with delusions. The thought lightens your step, but only for a moment. The spear's weight drags you back to reality. Historically, hunting was a cornerstone of Bronze Age survival. Around 2000 BC, communities supplemented farming with game, using tools like spears, bows, and traps to bring down animals. Gazelles, deer, and wild boar were common prey in regions like the Near East, but hunting was no leisurely sport. It required skill, stamina, and a deep knowledge of the land, qualities you're painfully aware you lack. The bronze-tipped spear in your hand is a marvel for its time, stronger than stone but still crude, prone to bending or snapping. You're not just fighting the gazelles but the limits of the technology itself. There's a peculiar detail that catches your attention as you walk. One hunter wears a necklace of animal teeth, each one polished and strung with care. It's not just jewelry, it's a tally of kills, a badge of prowess. You can't help but compare it to your old smartwatch, its step counter ticking away meaningless numbers. There's something raw and honest about their pride, earned through blood and sweat. You touch your bare neck, feeling oddly exposed, and wonder what story you'd tell if you had to wear your achievements so openly. The watering hole comes into view. A shimmering patch of blue nestled among reeds. The hunters crouch low, signaling you to do the same. Your knees protest, unused to squatting for long, but you obey, heart pounding. The gazelles are there, graceful and alert, their ears twitching as they drink. The hunters exchange quick gestures, planning the ambush. You're supposed to flank the herd, cutting off their escape. But the spear feels like a foreign object in your hands. You grip it tighter, praying you don't trip and impale yourself. That'd be a story for the village campfire, one you'd rather not star in. The attack is swift. The hunters move like shadows, their spears flashing in the sunlight. You lurch forward, more stumbling than stalking, and manage to scare a gazelle straight into their trap. It's chaos, hooves kicking up dust, shouts echoing, and the sharp cry of a wounded animal. You freeze, overwhelmed, as the hunters close in. One gazelle falls, its blood staining the earth. And you feel a mix of awe and unease. This isn't a nature documentary, it's life, raw and unfiltered. You're not sure whether to cheer or look away. Scholars still debate how much Bronze Age societies relied on hunting versus farming. Some argue agriculture dominated by 2000 BC, with hunting as a fallback. while others point to isotopic studies of bones showing diets rich in wild game. Out here, sweating under the sun, you feel the truth in your bones. Hunting isn't just about food but about proving you can face the wild and win. The hunter's calm efficiency humbles you. Their skill a reminder of how soft your modern life has made you. The return to the village is a blur of exhaustion. You carry a share of the gazelle, its weight slung across your shoulders. And every step feels like a small victory. The hunters tease each other lightly, their voices warm with camaraderie, but you're too tired to join in. The village comes into view. Its mud brick huts glowing in the afternoon light, and you feel a flicker of relief. You've survived the hunt, but the day is far from over. As you drop the meat by a fire pit, the scar-faced hunter claps your shoulder, a rare gesture of approval. You smile, despite the ache in every muscle, and wonder how you'll survive what comes next. Part 4. The afternoon sun beats down, its warmth a fleeting comfort against the vastness of the Bronze Age world. You're back in the village. The gazelle's weight no longer dragging at your shoulders, but your body hums with fatigue from the hunt. The air is thick with the scent of dust and roasting meat. And the village pulses with life, children darting between huts, women weaving baskets, men repairing tools. You'd love to collapse by the fire, maybe scroll through a mental Netflix. But there's no pause button here. The wild awaits you again, and this time, it's not just about hunting. Nature itself is your adversary, and it's far less forgiving than any gazelle. You're sent to gather firewood, a task that sounds simple until you realize it means venturing back into the untamed landscape. The village relies on fire for cooking, warmth, and protection. And every log is a small act of defiance against the cold and dark. You're handed a bronze axe, dull, heavy, and slightly dented, and pointed toward a copse of trees a mile off. Your hunting companions are busy skinning the gazelle, so you're on your own, your spear swapped for a woven basket to carry the wood. You set out, sandals crunching on gravel, and feel the weight of your isolation. No phone, no GPS, just you and a world that doesn't care if you make it back. The path is rugged, winding through fields of wild grass that scratch at your legs. The sky is a brilliant blue, streaked with clouds that hint at rain. You remember the hunt, the gazelle's hoofprints in the dirt, and try to stay alert for signs of danger. The Bronze Age isn't a petting zoo. Wolves, boars, and even the occasional lion roam these lands. You grip the axe tighter, its handle slick with your sweat, and laugh softly at the absurdity. In your time, the closest you've come to wildlife is shooing a raccoon from your trash. Here you're one wrong step from becoming lunch. The weather turns fickle as you walk. A gust of wind kicks up dust, stinging your eyes, and the temperature dips as clouds roll in. You're dressed for summer, tunic, sandals. No jacket, and the sudden chill bites at your skin. You think longingly of your waterproof boots, your insulated coat, all the gear that makes modern camping a breeze. Here, there's no REI to save you. You're exposed, vulnerable, and the realization sinks in. Nature isn't a backdrop in 2000 BC, it's a force that shapes every moment. You pull your tunic tighter, a futile gesture, and keep moving. Historically, the Bronze Age was a time when humans began to bend nature to their will, but only just. By 2000 BC, communities in Mesopotamia and the Levant were building irrigation systems to tame rivers and clear forests for farmland. Yet nature remained a relentless opponent. Floods, droughts, and storms could wipe out years of work in hours. The trees you're heading toward aren't just fuel. They're a resource fought for, their loss felt in the soil and the air. Every swing of your axe will be a small victory, but also a reminder of how fragile this balance is. There's a quirky detail that catches your eye as you near the copse. Scratched into a boulder by the path is a crude carving, a spiral, maybe a sun, or perhaps a warning. The locals treat it with quiet reverence, stepping around it as if it holds power. You pause, tracing its lines with your finger, and wonder what it means. A map? A prayer? A Bronze Age graffiti tag? You smirk, imagining some ancient teenager carving it to mess with passers-by. It's a small, human moment, a reminder that even in this harsh world, people left marks to say, "I was here." The copse is denser than you expected, a tangle of gnarled oaks and thorny shrubs. You start chopping, the axe biting into a sapling with a dull thud. Each swing jars your arms, and the blade sticks more often than it cuts. You're no lumberjack. Your technique is all enthusiasm, no finesse. Sweat beads on your brow, and you curse under your breath, half expecting a YouTube tutorial to pop up. No such luck. The locals would probably laugh at your flailing. But they'd also respect the effort. Survival here doesn't care about perfection, only persistence. A rustle in the bushes stops you cold. Your heart races as you scan the trees. Axe raised like a prop in a bad movie. It's just a hare, darting away, but the scare lingers. You're not built for this constant vigilance, this world where every shadow could be a threat. You think of your apartment, its locked doors and predictable hum, and feel a pang of longing. The irony isn't lost on you, you're gathering wood to stay warm, but the act itself leaves you exposed, chilled and on edge. Surviving the Bronze Age, you're learning, is a series of trade-offs, each one testing your limits. Scholars still debate how Bronze Age people managed their environments. Some argue they were careful stewards, rotating fields and preserving forests, while others point to early deforestation as evidence of reckless expansion. You feel the tension in the axe's weight. The way each felled sapling changes the landscape just a little. The villagers need this wood, but they also fear the spirits they believe live in these trees. You're caught in their world, balancing necessity and reverence, and it's a lot heavier than the basket on your back. By the time you've gathered enough wood, your arms are leaden, and the sky is bruising with dusk. You haul the basket back, the weight digging into your shoulders, and try to ignore the blisters forming on your hands. The village comes into view, its fires glowing like beacons, and you feel a flicker of relief. You've faced nature and walked away, but the day's not done. As you drop the wood by a fire pit, the scent of roasting gazelle fills the air, and you realize you're starving. You sit, the fire's warmth easing your aches, and wonder how you'll face the next challenge in this relentless, beautiful, unforgiving world. Part 5. The village glows under the late afternoon sun, its mud brick huts bathed in a soft, amber light. You're slumped by the fire pit, the weight of your firewood haul still lingering in your shoulders, the scent of roasting gazelle teasing your hunger. The air hums with the rhythm of life, women pounding grain, men haggling over tools, children shrieking as they play. You're bone-tired, your hands raw from the axe, but there's no clocking out in 2000 BC. The village is your world now, and it's time to dive into its heart. You're about to learn how this community functions, and spoiler alert, it's not the cozy commune you might hope for. Every step here is a dance of survival, and you're still learning the moves. You're pulled into the village's daily grind, tasked with helping a group bartering goods near the central square, if you can call a patch of packed dirt a square. The scene is chaotic yet oddly organized, like a farmer's market with higher stakes. A burly man trades a bronze dagger for a sack of barley, his voice booming as he haggles. A woman offers woven baskets for dried fish, her eyes sharp as she weighs the deal. You're handed a bundle of your host's flatbreads, those gritty, charred discs you helped make, and told to trade them for salt. Simple, right? Except you've never bartered in your life. Your world runs on credit cards and fixed prices, here. Value is a conversation, and you're tongue-tied. You approach a trader, a wiry elder with a beard like tangled wool, and hold up the flatbreads. He squints, unimpressed, and rattles off something in a language you barely grasp. You catch salt, and more, and panic sets in. Are your flatbreads subpar? You try a smile, hoping it's universal. But he just grunts and points to a tiny clay jar of salt. It's barely enough for a single meal, and you're pretty sure you're being lowballed. You hesitate then at a second stack of flatbreads. mimicking the confident gestures you've seen. He nods, and you walk away with the jar, feeling like you've just lost at poker. You chuckle softly, imagining explaining this to your friends. Traded bread for salt, you'd say. Total rip-off. The village's social structure is a puzzle. There's no mayor, no org chart, but power flows in subtle ways. The man with the bronze dagger carries himself like he owns the place, his wife adorned with beads that scream status. Meanwhile others, like the women grinding grain, keep their heads down. Their labor the backbone of this place. You're used to clear hierarchies, but here, it's a web of favors, debts, and unspoken rules. You feel like an outsider, tripping over cues you can't read. Did you offend the salt guy? Should you bow to the dagger man? It's exhausting, and you're tempted to hide in your hut. Fat chance. Privacy is a modern luxury. Historically, Bronze Age villages like this one were hubs of early complexity. By 2000 BC, places in the Indus Valley and Mesopotamia had sophisticated trade networks, swapping goods like salt, obsidian, and even lapis lazuli across vast distances. These weren't just markets but social glue, binding communities through shared needs. Your little salt trade is a thread in that web. A reminder that no village stands alone. But it's not all cooperation. Rivalries simmer, and a bad deal could spark a feud. You're starting to see why trust is currency here. As vital as bronze or grain. There's an odd detail that catches your eye as you weave through the crowd. Tucked near a hut is a pile of broken pottery, shards arranged in a deliberate pattern. Like a mosaic gone wrong. You learn it's a custom. Smashed pots are left as offerings to spirits, a way to break bad luck. You smirk, thinking of your old habit of tossing pennies into fountains. It's not so different, this need to nudge fate with small, strange acts. There's a quiet charm to it, a glimpse of people making sense of a world they can't control. You step carefully around the shards, half convinced they might actually hold power. Your next task is delivering the salt to your host, which means navigating the village's maze of alleys. The paths are narrow, lined with drying herbs and stray goats, and you're struck by the intimacy of it all. Everyone knows everyone, your every move is watched, judged, remembered. You're used to anonymity, but here, you're a character in a story you don't fully understand. You pass a group of elders gossiping by a well, their eyes flicking toward you. You nod, hoping it's polite, and hurry on, feeling like you're auditioning for a role you didn't sign up for. Scholars still debate how egalitarian these villages were. Some point to shared resources, like wells, as proof of communal spirit, while others cite elite burials, stacked with goods, as evidence of growing inequality. You feel the tension in the air. The way some villagers swagger while others shrink. Your salt jar, small as it is a prize, and you clutch it tighter, aware of the eyes on your back. This isn't just a village, it's a stage. And you're fumbling your lines. As you reach the hut, your host takes the salt with a curt nod, already grinding more wheat. You collapse onto a stool, the day's weight settling into your bones. The village hums around you, alive with purpose, and you're struck by its resilience. These people face scarcity, uncertainty, and each other, yet they keep going. You think of your air-conditioned life, its ease in isolation, and feel a strange mix of envy and relief. You've survived the village's chaos, for now, but the day's not over. The fire pit glows. The scent of gazelle and flatbread filling the air, and you wonder what this relentless world will demand next. Part 6. The village settles into a softer rhythm as the sun dips lower, painting the sky in hues of orange and lavender. You're still catching your breath from the bartering chaos, the tiny jar of salt now a distant memory in your host's hands. The air carries the warm, earthy scent of roasting meat and the faint crackle of fires, but there's a new energy stirring. You notice people gathering near the center of the village, their voices hushed, their movements deliberate. Torches are lit, casting flickering shadows on mud brick walls, and you're pulled along, swept into something bigger than the day's grind. It's a ritual. A moment of reverence in this Bronze Age world, and you're about to see what holds these people together when the sun goes down. You're led to a cleared space where a low stone altar stands, weathered and stained by years of use. The crowd forms a loose circle, their faces softened by firelight, and you feel the weight of their anticipation. You're handed a small clay cup of barley beer, its sour bite familiar from earlier, and told to stand near the back. You're not sure what's coming, but the air feels charged, like the moment before a storm. The scent of burning herbs, maybe sage or myrrh, curls through the crowd, and you breathe it in, your modern skepticism warring with a strange sense of awe. This isn't a church or a concert. It's something older, rawer, and you're not sure you belong. A figure steps forward, an elder draped in a cloak adorned with shells and feathers. Her voice, low and rhythmic, cuts through the murmurs, chanting words you can't understand but feel in your bones. The crowd sways, some raising their hands, others clutching amulets like that goddess figurine you saw by the river. You mimic their stance, clutching your cup, and try to blend in. You're used to rituals with clear scripts, weddings, graduations, but this is fluid, primal, a dance of faith and fear. You chuckle softly, imagining live streaming this on your phone. The locals would probably think your glowing screen was a god's eye. The thought grounds you, but only for a moment. The elder pours a libation of beer onto the altar, the liquid hissing as it meets a small fire. The crowd murmurs, and you catch glimpses of offerings, grain, bones, even a bronze pin, laid carefully around the stone. This is their way of speaking to the unseen, to gods of sky and harvest, to spirits they believe linger in the wind. You're struck by the intensity of their belief, so different from your world of data and doubt. You think of your morning coffee, a ritual in its own right, and wonder if it's any less strange than pouring beer for a deity. Maybe you're not so different, just separated by a few millennia. Historically, religion was a cornerstone of Bronze Age life. By 2000 BC, communities in Mesopotamia and beyond worshipped complex pantheons, from Inanna to Enlil, tying daily life to cosmic forces. Rituals like this one weren't just spiritual but social, reinforcing bonds and easing fears of drought or disease. The altar before you, simple as it is a testament to that need for meaning. It's not just a pile of stones but a bridge to something greater, a way to make sense of a world where survival hangs by a thread. You feel that fragility now, standing among people who trust in gods you'll never know. There's a quirky detail that catches your eye as the chanting rises. One man, standing near you, keeps a small pouch of colored pebbles, which he shakes rhythmically, like a makeshift rattle. You learn later it's a personal charm, believed to ward off bad omens. You smirk, thinking of your old lucky socks, worn for exams or big meetings. There's something universal about these talismans, these tiny anchors in a chaotic world. You're tempted to ask him about the pebbles, but his intense focus stops you. Besides, you're not sure you'd understand the answer, or if you'd want to. The ritual shifts as the elder calls for silence. A young woman steps forward, her hands trembling as she places a woven wreath on the altar. It's a plea for fertility, you're told, a common offering in a world where children are both hope and burden. The crowd watches, their faces a mix of empathy and expectation, and you feel like an intruder, witnessing something deeply personal. You're used to privacy, but here, life is shared, exposed, laid bare before gods and neighbors. You sip your beer, its grit catching in your throat, and try to stay invisible. Scholars still debate the role of women in Bronze Age rituals. Some argue priestesses held significant power, leading ceremonies like this one, while others point to male-dominated texts from later periods as evidence of patriarchy. You see both sides in this moment, the elder's authority, the young woman's vulnerability. The truth, as always, is messier than the theories, and you're just a bystander, caught in the flicker of their firelight. You wonder what this ritual means to them, what fears or dreams they're pouring into that wreath. As the ceremony ends, the crowd disperses. Their voices softer now, their steps lighter. You linger by the altar, the fire's warmth fading as the torches burn low. The sky is a deep indigo, studded with stars that feel closer than they ever did in your time. You're exhausted, not just from the day's labor but from the weight of this world, its demands, its beliefs, its unrelenting pulse. You think of your soft bed, your curated playlists, and feel a pang of longing. But there's something here, too, in the shared silence, the crackle of embers, that makes you pause. You've survived another hour in the Bronze Age, but the night is young, and this village has more to teach you. Part 7. The stars are out now, a glittering canopy above the village, where the air carries the lingering scent of burned herbs and cooling embers from the ritual. You're still reeling from the ceremony, the weight of its chants and offerings clinging to you like smoke. The crowd has scattered, and the village feels quieter though never still. Goats bleat, a child laughs, and the distant crack of a fire keeps the night alive. You're bone-tired, your hands stinging from the day's labors, but there's no slipping into pajamas and calling it a day. The Bronze Age doesn't pause, and now you're stepping into a new role, trader. You're about to learn what it means to carry goods and risks across a world without roads or rules. You're summoned to your host's hut, where the firelight casts long shadows on the mud walls. She's sorting goods, baskets of barley, bundles of dried fish, a few bronze pins glinting like treasures. Your task is to prepare for a trading journey tomorrow, delivering these to a neighboring settlement. It sounds straightforward, like running errands, but the stakes are higher here. Trade isn't just commerce, it's survival, trust, and danger rolled into one. You're handed a woven sack to pack, its coarse fibers scratching your already raw hands. You start loading, trying to look competent, but the weight of the barley makes your arms tremble. You think of your old reusable grocery bag, so light and cheery. This sack, you muse, could double as a workout tool. The hut buzzes with quiet urgency. Your host explains the route, a 2-day trek across hills and valleys, skirting a river prone to flooding. You nod, half listening, as your mind races. No GPS. No Uber, no roadside diners. Just you, this sack, and a world where bandits and beasts are as common as bad weather. You chuckle softly, picturing yourself explaining, road trip, to your host. She'd probably think you're mad, dreaming of carts that move without oxen. The thought is a fleeting comfort as you tie the sack, its bulk daunting. You're not just carrying goods. You're carrying the village's hopes for salt, tools, or maybe a rare bead to flaunt. As you work, you notice the social dynamics at play. Your host's brother, the man with the bronze dagger from the market, oversees the preparations, his voice sharp as he inspects your packing. He's clearly someone. His tunic is finer, his posture commanding. You're used to bosses, but this feels personal, like you're being sized up for more than your knot-tying skills. You keep your head down, focusing on the task, but you feel his eyes on you. It's a reminder that trade isn't just about goods but alliances, rivalries, and power. You're a small cog in a big, creaky wheel, and you're not sure you like the view. Historically, trade was the lifeblood of Bronze Age societies. By 2000 BC, networks stretched across Mesopotamia, the Levant, and beyond, moving goods like tin, copper, and textiles over hundreds of miles. These weren't casual exchanges but high-stakes ventures, often backed by elite families who controlled resources. Your sack of barley is a tiny piece of that puzzle, destined to be swapped for something the village needs to thrive, or at least survive another season. But trade routes were perilous, vulnerable to raids and natural disasters. You're starting to understand why traders were both admired and pitted, their journeys a gamble with no guarantees. There's a quirky detail that catches your eye as you pack. Tucked among the goods is a small clay tablet, etched with wedge-shaped marks, early cuneiform, you realize. It's not a letter but a tally, tracking what's owed or expected from the trade. You run your fingers over the grooves, marveling at this proto-paperwork. It's oddly familiar, like the receipts cluttering your wallet, but heavier, more permanent. You smirk, imagining losing this tablet and facing your host's wrath. Lost the receipt. you'd say, and she'd probably banish you to the goats. It's a small, human touch, proof that even in this ancient world, people obsessed over keeping score. Packing done, you're sent to check the cart, a rickety wooden thing pulled by a donkey that looks as thrilled as you are. The wheels are solid, no spokes, and they wobble ominously. You test the yoke, your hands fumbling with the leather straps, and pray it holds. You're used to cars, smooth and climate-controlled. But this cart is a lawsuit waiting to happen. The donkey snorts, eyeing you with what feels like disdain, and you laugh under your breath. If this is your ride, you're in for a bumpy trip. You pat its flank, hoping to make friends, but it just flicks its tail. So much for bonding. Scholars still debate how much risk traders faced in the Bronze Age. Some argue fortified outposts along routes offered safety, while others point to texts describing ambushes and lost caravans. You feel that uncertainty now, in the creak of the cart and the weight of the sack. The village depends on this trade, but so do you. If you fail, you're not just out of a job but out of favor. You're caught in their world. A world where every journey tests your nerve and your luck. As you finish, the village is settling into dusk. The air is cooler, scented with wood smoke and the faint tang of dung. You sit by the cart, the sack at your feet, and watch the stars sharpen against the sky. Your body aches, your mind buzzing with the day's lessons, hunting, bartering, rituals, and now this. You think of your old life, its ease and predictability, and feel a strange mix of gratitude and restlessness. You've survived another piece of this relentless day. But the journey ahead looms like a shadow. The fire pit glows nearby, its warmth a small mercy, and you wonder what this unforgiving world will ask of you next. Part 8. The village is cloaked in twilight now, the sky a deep indigo pricked with stars that seem to hum with ancient secrets. You're slumped by the rickety cart. The woven sack of trade goods at your feet, its weight a reminder of the journey ahead. The air is cool, laced with the smoky warmth of fire pits and the faint musk of the donkey. Who's still giving you the side-eye? You're exhausted, your body aching from the day's relentless tasks, hunting, bartering, rituals, but the Bronze Age doesn't care about your need for a nap. Dawn will bring your trading trek, and now, you're setting out to scout the path. The world beyond the village is wild, lawless, and you're about to feel just how small you are in its grip. You're joined by a guide, a lean man with weathered hands and a bronze dagger strapped to his belt. He moves with the ease of someone who knows every rock and root of this land, his eyes scanning the darkening horizon. You're handed a torch, a bundle of reeds dipped in animal fat, its flames spitting and smoky. It's your only light, and it feels pitiful against the vast night. You sling a small water skin over your shoulder and follow him, your sandals crunching on gravel. The village fades behind you, its fires mere pinpricks, and a knot of unease tightens in your chest. You're used to streetlights and maps. Here, the dark is a living thing, and you're at its mercy. The path is treacherous, a winding trail of dirt and stone that climbs into low hills. You stumble over roots, the torch casting jittery shadows that make every bush look like a crouching beast. The air smells of dry grass and something sharper, maybe the distant tang of a predator's kill. Your guide moves silently, pointing out landmarks, a gnarled tree, a pile of stones that you strain to memorize. You think of your old GPS, its cheerful voice guiding you to coffee shops, and chuckle softly. If you tried explaining satellites to this man, he'd probably think you're a poet gone mad. The thought is a fleeting distraction from the ache in your legs. The dangers of the route become clear as you walk. Your guide pauses by a narrow ravine, its edges crumbling, and warns you of flash floods that can turn it into a death trap. Further on, he points to scuff marks in the dirt. Bandit tracks, he says, his voice low. You grip your torch tighter, its flame wavering, and feel a prickle of fear. In your time, danger is abstract. News headlines, locked doors. Here, it's real, immediate, and you're woefully unprepared. You imagine facing a bandit with nothing but your sack of barley. Take the grain, you'd say. But leave my dignity. Fat chance. They'd probably take both. Historically, trade routes in the Bronze Age were arteries of progress and peril. By 2000 BC, merchants in Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley braved deserts and mountains to swap goods like tin, textiles, and spices. These paths linked civilizations, but they were also gauntlets, stalked by raiders and ravaged by nature. Your journey tomorrow, humble as it is part of that legacy, a fragile thread connecting villages in a world where trust is scarce. The bronze dagger at your guide's hip isn't just a tool but a necessity. A reminder that trade often came with a body count. There's a quirky detail that catches your eye as you pause to rest. Your guide kneels by a small cairn of stones, adding a pebble with a murmured prayer. It's a traveler's ritual, he explains, to appease the spirits of the path. You raise an eyebrow, thinking of your old habit of tapping your car's dashboard for luck before a long drive. It's not so different, this need to charm the unknown. You add a pebble of your own, half joking, and feel a flicker of connection to this man, this world. You smirk, imagining the cairn growing into a mountain by 2025. Maybe it's still there, buried under some highway. The scout continues, and the terrain grows rougher. You ford a shallow stream, the icy water soaking your sandals, and climb a rocky slope that leaves you gasping. Your guide barely breaks a sweat, his steps sure, while you're panting like you've run a marathon. You're used to escalators, not this endless slog, and the torch's heat is starting to singe your knuckles. You think longingly of your couch, your streaming apps, and wonder how these people do this day after day. Survival, you're learning, is less about strength and more about stubbornness, a refusal to let the world win. Scholars still debate how safe Bronze Age trade routes were. Some point to clay tablets describing armed escorts and trade agreements, suggesting organized protection, while others cite archaeological finds, abandoned camps, scattered bones, as proof of frequent violence. You feel that uncertainty now, in the dark pressing against your torch. The unseen eyes you swear are watching. This path isn't just a route but a test, and you're not sure you're passing. Your guide's dagger glints in the firelight, a small comfort. But you know it's his skill, not the blade, that keeps you safe. As you turn back toward the village, the stars seem brighter, the air crisper. Your legs are leaden, your torch nearly spent. But you've mapped the first leg of tomorrow's trek. The village comes into view, its fires a warm promise, and you feel a flicker of relief. You've faced the wild, if only for a night, and walked away. Your guide claps your shoulder, a rare gesture, and you manage a tired smile. The sack of goods awaits, the journey looms, but for now, you sink by a fire pit, the scent of roasting meat grounding you. The night is deep, the Bronze Age unrelenting, and you wonder what dawn will demand of you next. Part 9. The village is hushed now, wrapped in the deep quiet of night, where the only sounds are the crackle of dying fires and the occasional bleat of a restless goat. You're slumped by the fire pit, the warmth of the flames a small mercy against the chill creeping through your tunic. The scout along the trade route left you rattled, your legs aching from the rocky climb, your mind buzzing with the dangers of tomorrow's journey. The stars above are sharp and countless, a reminder of how vast this Bronze Age world is, and how small you feel within it. You'd love to crawl into a sleeping bag and zone out, but there's no rest yet. The village needs you, and now you're being pulled into a new task, crafting. You're about to learn that making tools in 2000 BC is as much art as agony, and you're not exactly Michelangelo. You're led to a corner of the village where a craftsman, a broad-shouldered man with hands like leather, works under the glow of a torch. His workspace is a clutter of stones, bronze scraps, and half-finished tools, the air thick with the metallic tang of smelted ore. You're tasked with helping him shape a bronze dagger, a simple job that sounds almost romantic until you see the tools. A stone hammer, a crude anvil, and a fire that's more temperamental than your old Wi-Fi. You're handed a lump of bronze still warm from the forge, and told to start hammering. You nod, trying to channel confidence, but your arms are already screaming from the day's labors. This, you think, is not your forte. You begin, striking the bronze with the hammer, and immediately regret it. The metal is stubborn, resisting your clumsy blows, and each hit sends a jolt through your wrists. The craftsman watches, his expression a mix of patience and pity, as you mangle the blade's shape. You're used to precision, keyboards, touchscreens, machines that do the heavy lifting. Here, every tool is an extension of your body, and your body is not cooperating. You chuckle softly, picturing yourself on a crafting show, eliminated in the first round. Nice try, the host would say. But stick to spreadsheets. The thought keeps you swinging, but only just. The process is grueling. You heat the bronze periodical in the fire, its glow hypnotic, then hammer again, trying to coax it into a blade. The fire spits embers, singeing your tunic, and the smoke stings your eyes. You think of your old toolbox, its neat rows of screws and drills, and sigh. This is crafting without shortcuts, without YouTube tutorials or hardware stores. The craftsman shows you how to smooth the edges with a stone, his movements fluid, almost meditative. You try to mimic him, but your blade looks more like a sad spoon. He grunts, not unkindly, and takes over, leaving you to watch in awe and mild embarrassment. Historically, the Bronze Age was defined by its metallurgy. By 2000 BC, artisans in Mesopotamia and the Levant were mastering the alloy of copper and tin, creating tools and weapons that outlasted stone. But the process was labor-intensive, requiring intense heat, rare materials, and skills honed over years. The dagger you're botching is more than a weapon, it's a status symbol, a piece of technology that sets this village apart. You're struck by the ingenuity of it all, but also the cost. Every blade represents hours of sweat, fuel, and hope. You're not just shaping metal, you're shaping survival. There's a quirky detail that catches your eye as you work. The craftsman keeps a small clay cup filled with ash, which he sprinkles over the fire at odd intervals. It's a ritual you learn to honor the forge's spirit and ensure the metal's strength. You smirk, thinking of your old habit of knocking on wood for luck. There's something endearing about these small acts, these attempts to charm a chaotic world. You're tempted to toss in some ash yourself, but you're too busy trying not to ruin the dagger. Besides, you're not sure you believe in forged spirits, or if you're just too tired to care. Your next task is polishing the blade, using a gritty stone that feels like sandpaper's grumpy ancestor. Your hands are blistered, your shoulders throbbing, but there's a strange satisfaction in the work. The bronze gleams faintly, catching the torchlight, and you feel a flicker of pride. It's not perfect, honestly, it's barely functional, but it's yours, in a way. You think of your old desk job, its endless emails and meetings, and wonder if this ache in your bones is what purpose feels like. Then you laugh under your breath, imagining presenting this dagger at a team meeting. Q3 goals? You'd say. And a stabby bonus. Scholars still debate how widespread bronze working skills were in the Bronze Age. Some argue every village had its smiths, passing down techniques like family recipes, while others point to specialized workshops and larger settlements as evidence of centralized production. You see both sides in this moment, the craftsman's expertise, the village's reliance on his skill. The dagger in your hands is a small miracle, but also a reminder of how much you take for granted. In your time, tools are cheap and disposable. Here, they're life itself. As you finish, the craftsman nods, a rare sign of approval, and sets the dagger aside. The night is deep now, the village a constellation of flickering fires. You collapse by the forge, the heat easing your aches, and watch the stars wheel overhead. Your hands are raw, your body spent, but you've made something real, something that matters in this world. You think of your soft bed, your curated playlists, and feel a pang of longing, but also a grudging respect for these people, their resilience, their craft. The day's not over. But you've survived another piece of it, and the Bronze Age waits to test you again. Part 10. The night has deepened, wrapping the village in a velvet hush, broken only by the soft pop of fire pits and the distant howl of some unseen creature. You're slumped by the forge, the faint glow of its embers warming your blistered hands, the half-finished dagger a quiet testament to your clumsy efforts. The stars above are a dazzling sprawl, untouched by city lights, and for a moment, you're lost in their vastness. But the Bronze Age doesn't let you linger in reverie. Your stomach growls, a sharp reminder that the day's labors, hunting, trading, crafting, haven't earned you a proper meal. You're about to face the reality of food in 2000 BC, and it's not the farm-to-table dream you might imagine. Scarcity is the rule here, and you're about to taste it. You're called back to your host's hut, where the air is thick with the scent of smoke and something savory, maybe the gazelle from your hunt, now roasting over a fire. The hut is crowded, filled with faces you vaguely recognize from the day's chaos. The woman who kneaded dough, the man with the bronze dagger, a child clutching a woven toy. You're handed a task that sounds deceptively simple: help prepare the evening meal. You nod, hoping it's easier than hammering bronze. But the moment you step into the kitchen, a corner with a fire pit and a few clay pots, you know you're in over your head. This isn't a kitchen, it's a battlefield, and you're unarmed. Your job is to portion out the food, a mix of roasted gazelle, flatbreads, those gritty discs you help make, and a thin stew of lentils and herbs. You're given a chipped clay bowl and a wooden ladle, both worn smooth by years of use. The portions are small, barely a handful of meat and a ladleful of stew per person. And you realize there's not enough to go around. Your host's eyes are sharp, watching as you divide the food, and you feel the weight of her scrutiny. In your time, food is a click away, takeout. Frozen meals, endless aisles of snacks. Here, every bite is a calculation, a balance of hunger and survival. You fumble with the ladle, trying not to spill, and think longingly of your fridge. The scarcity hits you hard. The gazelle, hard won from the hunt, is barely enough for half the hut. The flatbreads are tough, the stew watery, and there's no dessert, no wine, no flourish. You're used to abundance, to plates piled high, but here, hunger is a constant shadow. You try to be fair, giving equal shares, but the child's wide eyes make you pause. You slip her an extra piece of bread, hoping no one notices. Your host grunts, and you're not sure if it's approval or annoyance. You chuckle softly, imagining explaining calorie counts to these folks. They probably think you're obsessed with numbers, not survival. Historically, food insecurity was a defining feature of the Bronze Age. By 2000 BC, farming had transformed societies, with crops like wheat, barley, and lentils sustaining growing populations. But harvests were fickle, droughts, pests, or poor soil could slash yields. And storage was rudimentary, leaving villages vulnerable to famine. Meat, like the gazelle you're portioning, was a luxury, often reserved for elites or special occasions. The stew in your bowl, thin as it is a triumph of ingenuity, eked out from sparse ingredients. You're not just eating, you're participating in a delicate dance of resources, one step from hunger. There's a quirky detail that catches your eye as you serve. One of the men sprinkles a pinch of ground spice, maybe coriander, onto his stew, a rare and precious addition. You learn it's a status symbol, traded from distant lands, and he savors it with a smug grin. You smirk, thinking of your old spice rack, its jars of paprika and turmeric taken for granted. There's something charming about his pride, this small act of flair in a world of scarcity. You're tempted to ask for a pinch, but his glare stops you. Better not push your luck, you're already the clumsy outsider. The meal is eaten in near silence, the only sounds the crackle of the fire and the soft scrape of wooden spoons. You take your share, sitting on the dirt floor, and bite into the gazelle. It's tough, gamey, and slightly charred, but hunger makes it divine. The stew is bland, the flatbread a chore to chew, but you eat slowly, savoring what little there is. You think of your favorite diner, its greasy burgers and endless coffee refills, and feel a pang of longing. Then you laugh under your breath. imagining offering these folks a pizza. Needs more bronze, they'd probably say, and you'd have to agree. Scholars still debate how Bronze Age diets balanced plant and animal foods. Some argue crops dominated, with meat as a rare supplement, while others point to bone analyses showing higher protein intake in certain regions. You feel the truth in your empty stomach. The way every bite is a small victory. This meal isn't just sustenance, it's a reminder of how fragile life is, how every harvest, every hunt, is a roll of the dice. You're caught in their world. Rationing scraps, and it's humbling. As the meal ends, the hut empties, the villagers drifting to their tasks or rest. You're left to clean the pots, scrubbing with sand and cold water. Your fingers numb. The fire pit glows, its warmth a fleeting comfort as the night presses in. You're exhausted, your body a map of aches, but you've survived another piece of this day. You think of your soft couch, your streaming shows, and feel both gratitude and awe for these people, their resilience, their ability to make do. The stars outside are relentless. The Bronze Age unforgiving, and you wonder what the final hours will demand of you. Part 11. The night is a heavy blanket now. The village cloaked in shadows pierced only by the faint glow of fire pits. You're crouched by the hut's fire, scrubbing the last of the stew pots with sand, your fingers numb from the cold water. The meal, those meager bites of gazelle and gritty flatbread, sits heavy in your stomach, not from fullness but from the weight of scarcity. The air smells of smoke and damp earth. And the distant howl of a jackal sends a shiver down your spine. You're exhausted, every muscle screaming from the day's relentless tasks, but the Bronze Age doesn't offer sick days. A new tension is rippling through the village, a murmur of unease that pulls you to your feet. Conflict is brewing. And you're about to feel the pulse of a world where peace is as fragile as the clay pots you're cleaning. You're summoned to the village's edge, where a group of men, your hunting companions among them, gather under torchlight. Their voices are low, their faces taut, and you catch the glint of bronze weapons, spears, daggers, even a crude axe. Your guide from the trade route scout, the one with the weathered hands, briefs you in clipped tones. A rival tribe has been spotted near the river, their fires flickering too close for comfort. They've raided before, stealing grain and livestock, and the village is on edge. You're handed a spear, familiar from the hunt but heavier now, its purpose darker. You grip it, your palms sweaty, and feel woefully out of place. You're used to arguments settled by emails or muted Zoom calls, not sharpened bronze. The group moves toward a lookout post, a low hill overlooking the river valley. You stumble along, the torchlight barely cutting through the inky dark. The air is crisp, scented with wild herbs and the faint tang of fear. You're not fighting yet, just watching. Preparing. But the weight of the spear makes every step feel like a countdown. You think of your old life, where conflict meant a passive-aggressive coworker, and chuckle softly. If you tried explaining HR to these men, they'd think you're spinning tales of a bizarre court. The thought is a fleeting shield against the dread pooling in your gut. As you reach the hill, the river glints below, a silver ribbon under the starlight. The rival tribe's fires are faint but unmistakable, a cluster of sparks on the horizon. Your guide points them out, his voice a murmur. And you strain to see shapes in the dark, warriors, maybe, or just shadows. The men around you tighten their grips on their weapons, their silence louder than any war cry. You're not a soldier. Not even close, but you're here, caught in their world, and retreat isn't an option. You wonder what you'd do if those fires moved closer. Run? Hide? You're not sure you have the stomach for either. Historically, tribal conflicts were a harsh reality of the Bronze Age. By 2000 BC, as villages grew and resources like water and farmland became contested, skirmishes over territory were common. Archaeological sites in the Near East show signs of violence: fortified walls, mass graves, weapons buried with the dead. The spear in your hand, crude as it is part of that story. A tool born from necessity in a world where trust between strangers was rare. You're not just holding a weapon but a piece of history, etched with the blood of countless disputes. It's a sobering thought, one that makes your modern squabbles seem trivial. There's a quirky detail that catches your eye as you stand watch. One of the men wears a small pouch around his neck, filled with what looks like dried leaves. You learn it's a charm, believed to protect against enemy blows. You smirk, thinking of your old lucky pen, clutched during stressful presentations. There's something universal about these talismans, these scraps of hope in the face of danger. You're tempted to ask for one, but the man's grim focus stops you. Besides, you're not sure a pouch of leaves would help you wield this spear any better. The night drags on, the cold seeping through your tunic as you crouch on the hill. Your legs cramp, your eyes strain. But the rival fires don't move. The men whisper strategies, ambush points, defensive lines, and you try to follow, feeling like a kid eavesdropping on adults. You're not useless, not entirely. Your presence adds one more body to the watch. But you're acutely aware of your limits, your soft hands and softer resolve. You think of your apartment, its locked doors and predictable hum, and feel a pang of longing. Then you laugh under your breath, imagining offering these warriors a team-building retreat. "Let's talk it out," you'd say, and they'd probably chuck you in the river. Scholars still debate the scale of Bronze Age conflicts. Some argue they were small, localized raids, driven by resource scarcity, while others point to evidence of larger battles, with alliances forming and breaking like tides. You feel the truth in the tension around you, the way every man grips his weapon like it's an extension of himself. This isn't just a skirmish but a way of life, a cycle of mistrust and survival. You're caught in its orbit, a bystander with a spear, and it's humbling. As dawn hints at the horizon, a faint gray smudge against the stars, the group retreats to the village. The rival fires haven't moved, but the threat lingers, a shadow over the day to come. You trudge back, the spear heavy in your hands, and feel a mix of relief and unease. You've survived the watch, but the Bronze Age doesn't let you rest. The village stirs, its fires flaring back to life. And you sink by a fire pit, the warmth easing your chilled. Part 12. The first light of dawn creeps over the village, a pale glow that softens the sharp edges of the night. You're slumped by the fire pit, the spear still heavy in your hands, its weight a reminder of the tense hours spent watching for rival fires. The air is cool, scented with dew and the faint smoke of rekindled flames, and the village stirs slowly, like a beast shaking off sleep. Your body is a map of aches, hunting, crafting, standing watch, and your eyes burn from fatigue. You'd give anything for a coffee and a mattress, but the Bronze Age doesn't deal in comforts. A new challenge looms, one that cuts deeper than any spear. You've twisted your ankle on the rocky hill, and now you're about to face the limits of healing in 2000 BC. You limp back to your host's hut, each step a small agony as your ankle throbs. The injury isn't dire, a sprain maybe, from a misstep in the dark, but it's enough to make you wince. In your time you'd ice it, pop an ibuprofen, maybe binge a show while you recover. Here, there's no pharmacy, no urgent care, just a world where pain is a fact of life and healing is a gamble. Your host notices your limp and calls over an older woman, her hands stained with herbs and her eyes sharp with experience. She's the village's healer, and you're her next patient. You sit on a stool, the dirt floor cold beneath you, and brace for what's coming. The healer kneels, probing your ankle with fingers that are surprisingly gentle but firm. You grit your teeth, the pain flaring, and try to stay still. She mutters something, maybe a prayer, and reaches for a basket of supplies, dried leaves, roots, a clay jar of something that smells like rancid oil. You're used to sterile bandages and clear instructions, but this is raw, intuitive, a mix of skill and superstition. You think of your old first aid kit, its neat packets of gauze, and chuckle softly. If you tried explaining antibiotics to this woman, she'd probably think you're a sorcerer. The thought is a small comfort as she starts her work. She grinds a handful of herbs, maybe willow or comfrey, into a paste, mixing it with the oil. The scent is pungent, earthy, and not entirely unpleasant, like a forest after rain. She smears the paste on your ankle, her touch steady, then wraps it in a strip of coarse linen. It's not a cast, not even close, but it holds the joint in place. Then comes the ritual. She sprinkles a pinch of ash over the bandage, murmuring words you don't understand. You raise an eyebrow, half expecting a chant to summon spirits. You're not sure if it's medicine or magic. But you're too tired to argue. Besides, there's something soothing in her confidence, her calm in the face of your pain. Historically, Bronze Age medicine was a blend of practical knowledge and spiritual belief. By 2000 BC, healers in Mesopotamia and the Levant used herbs, minerals, and basic surgery to treat ailments. From sprains to infections. Texts like those from Sumer describe remedies made from plants like myrrh or barley, often paired with rituals to appease gods or drive out evil spirits. Your ankle wrap, crude as it is a product of that world, a fragile bridge between observation and faith. But the limits are stark: no anesthesia, no sterilization, no guarantee you won't limp for weeks. You're not just healing, you're rolling the dice. There's a quirky detail that catches your eye as the healer works. She wears a small amulet, a carved stone shaped like an eye, tied around her wrist. It's a ward against illness, she explains, believed to see and banish sickness. You smirk, thinking of your old bottle of hand sanitizer, clutched like a talisman during flu season. There's something universal about these charms, these small acts of defiance against the unknown. You're tempted to ask for an amulet of your own. But her focused expression stops you. Besides, you're not sure an eye-shaped stone would help your ankle, or your odds in this relentless world. The healer finishes, instructing you to rest the ankle. A command that feels like a cruel joke in a village that never stops. You hobble outside, leaning on a stick for support, and settle by the fire pit. The village is waking. The air alive with the clatter of pots and the bleat of goats. You watch a woman knead dough, her hands moving with the same rhythm you fumbled through yesterday, and feel a pang of uselessness. You're injured, dependent, a burden in a world where everyone pulls their weight. You laugh under your breath, imagining texting your boss. Out with a sprain, Bronze Age style. You'd get no sympathy here, just a grunt and another task. Scholars still debate how effective Bronze Age medicine was. Some argue herbal remedies showed real pharmacological insight, with plants like willow containing early forms of aspirin, while others point to high mortality rates from infections as proof of its limits. You feel that tension now, in the throbbing ache of your ankle and the fragile hope of the healer's paste. This isn't just treatment, it's a leap of faith, a reminder of how thin the line is between recovery and ruin. You're caught in their world, trusting in leaves and ash, and it's humbling. As the sun climbs, the village hums with purpose, but you're sidelined, your stick and bandage marking you as fragile. The rival tribe's threat lingers, the trade journey looms, and you're not sure how you'll keep up. The fire pit's warmth eases your pain, but not your unease. You think of your old life, ice packs, painkillers, the luxury of rest, and feel both gratitude and awe for these people, their resilience in the face of a world that offers no safety nets. The day stretches ahead. The Bronze Age unforgiving, and you wonder what it will demand of your battered body next. Part 13. The morning sun is a gentle hand on the village, its light spilling over mud brick huts and casting long shadows across the dirt. You're propped by the fire pit, your sprained ankle wrapped in that herb-soaked linen. The makeshift crutch at your side a clumsy reminder of your fragility. The air hums with the village's pulse, women grinding grain, men sharpening tools, children chasing each other with reckless joy. The scent of baking flatbread and wood smoke wraps around you, grounding but not comforting. You're exhausted, your body a ledger of the day's trials. And the throbbing in your ankle underscores a hard truth. In 2000 BC, weakness is a luxury you can't afford. Yet, as the village moves around you, you're about to discover its heart, the bonds that hold it together, and the weight they place on your shoulders. You're not left to wallow alone. A young woman, the one who offered the wreath at the ritual, approaches with a clay bowl of watery stew. She sets it beside you, her smile shy but kind, and you nod in thanks, feeling a flicker of warmth that's not from the fire. The stew is thin, flecked with lentils and herbs, but it's a gesture, a thread of connection in this relentless world. You sip it slowly, the warmth easing your aches, and realize you're not just a stranger here. You're part of their web, expected to give as much as you take. You're used to solitude, to apartments and headphones. But here, community is survival, and it comes with strings. The village's bonds unfold around you. The woman lingers, chatting about her brother, a hunter you recognize from the gazelle chase. She speaks of debts, grain lent to a neighbor, a favor owed for a repaired cart, and you see how tightly knit this place is. Everyone depends on everyone else. A network of trust and obligation that's both beautiful and suffocating. You're handed a small task, one you can manage despite your injury, sorting a basket of dried figs for the trade journey. It's simple, but it pulls you into the fold, your fingers brushing the leathery fruit as you work. You think of your old life, its casual independence, and chuckle softly. If you tried explaining, going off the grid, to these folks, they'd laugh. You're already on the grid, as it gets. The figs are tedious, some shriveled, others sticky with rot. And you fumble to sort them under the woman's watchful eye. She corrects you gently, her hands deft, and you feel like a child learning to tie shoes. You're used to efficiency, to apps and automation. But here, every task is a lesson in patience. The village thrives on these small acts, sorting, weaving, sharpening, each one a stitch in the fabric of their survival. You're struck by the intimacy of it all, the way neighbors share tools, stories, even arguments, with a familiarity you've never known. It's comforting, but also heavy. There's no hiding here. No slipping away unnoticed. Historically, Bronze Age communities were built on interdependence. By 2000 BC, villages in the Fertile Crescent and beyond relied on collective labor to farm, trade, and defend against threats. Archaeological finds, shared granaries, communal workshops, suggest a society where cooperation was key, though not without tension. The figs you're sorting aren't just food but currency, a piece of the village's wealth for the trade journey. Yet, the same bonds that sustain this place enforce conformity. Step out of line, and you risk the group's trust. You feel that now, in the woman's quiet expectations, the way your clumsy sorting matters more than you'd like. There's a quirky detail that catches your eye as you work. The woman wears a bracelet of braided grass, knotted with a single blue bead. It's a gift, she says, from a friend who married into another village, a token of connection across distance. You smirk, thinking of your old group chats, the emojis and memes that kept you tethered to friends. There's something timeless about these small tokens, these threads of memory woven into daily life. You're tempted to ask about the bead story, but her focus on the figs stops you. Besides, you're not sure you'd understand the weight of her answer, or if you're ready for it. Your sorting is interrupted by a commotion nearby. Two men argue over a broken tool. Their voices sharp but restrained, and a small crowd gathers, mediating with practiced ease. You watch, figs forgotten, as the dispute resolves with the promise of shared labor. It's not a courtroom, but it's justice, Bronze Age style, rooted in the need to keep the group whole. You're used to systems, laws, contracts, but this is fluid, human, and you're not sure you'd fare well under its scrutiny. You laugh under your breath, imagining settling a workplace spat with a public barter. You take the stapler, I'll fix the printer, you'd say, and everyone would stare. Scholars still debate how cohesive Bronze Age villages were. Some argue shared resources fostered equality, pointing to communal storage pits, while others cite elite burials as proof of social divides. You see both in this moment, the woman's kindness, the men's quick resolution, but also the subtle hierarchies. The way certain voices carry more weight. You're caught in their world, sorting figs to earn your keep, and it's both humbling and claustrophobic. Community here is a lifeline, but also a cage. And you're not sure you'd last under its rules. As you finish the figs, the woman takes the basket with a nod, her bracelet catching the sunlight. The village hums around you. Its bonds as strong as the fires that light it. Your ankle throbs, your hands are sticky with fig juice, but you've woven yourself a little deeper into this place. You think of your isolated life, screens, solitude, convenience, and feel a mix of envy and relief. The day's end is near, the trade journey looms, but for now, you sit by the fire pit. The stew's warmth lingering, and wonder what this unyielding world will ask of you next. Part 14. The sun is sinking now, painting the village in hues of amber and violet. As the day's heat gives way to a crisp evening breeze, you're still by the fire pit, the basket of sorted figs gone, your hands sticky and your sprained ankle throbbing beneath its herbal wrap. The village hums with the quiet rhythm of dusk, women stoke fires, men mend nets, children huddle close to hear stories. The air carries the rich scent of roasting meat and the faint tang of dust, grounding you in this relentless Bronze Age world. Your body is a catalogue of aches, your mind heavy with the day's lessons, hunting, crafting, community, but the night offers no reprieve. You're drawn to the fire's glow, where the village gathers, and you're about to find solace and struggle in the stories told under starlight. You settle on the ground, your crutch propped beside you, as the fire pit becomes the heart of the village. Faces you've seen all day, the hunter with the scarred cheek, the woman with the braided bracelet, the healer with her eye-shaped amulet, form a loose circle, their silhouettes softened by the flames. Someone passes you a clay cup of sour barley beer, its grit familiar, and you sip it gratefully. The warmth easing the chill in your bones. The fire crackles, spitting embers that drift like tiny stars, and you feel a fleeting peace, a moment where the day's weight lifts. But peace here is fragile, and the stories about to unfold will remind you how precarious this life is. An elder begins, his voice low and rhythmic, weaving a tale of a great flood that drowned the fields long ago. His words are slow, deliberate, painting a world of angry gods and desperate survival. You listen, mesmerized, the firelight dancing in his eyes. The story isn't just entertainment, it's a warning, a memory etched into the village's soul. You're used to stories on screens, neatly packaged with beginnings and ends, but this is raw, alive, a thread connecting past to present. You think of your old podcasts, their soothing voices lulling you to sleep, and chuckle softly. If you tried sharing a true crime episode here, they'd think you're reciting omens. The thought grounds you, but only for a moment. The stories shift, tales of heroic hunters, cunning traders, spirits that haunt the hills. Each one carries a lesson: respect the river, honor the dead, fear the dark. You're struck by how these people make sense of their world. Not with science but with narrative, weaving order from chaos. The hunter beside you adds a story of a wolf he tracked, his hands mimicking its leap, and the crowd murmurs in awe. You're tempted to share a tale of your own, maybe a traffic jam or a Black Friday sale, but you hold back. Your stories feel flimsy here, out of place in a world where every word carries weight. Historically, oral storytelling was a cornerstone of Bronze Age culture. By 2000 BC, communities in Mesopotamia and beyond relied on spoken traditions to preserve knowledge. From farming techniques to myths of creation, these weren't just tales but tools, binding villages through shared identity and cautionary lessons. The flood story you're hearing echoes early Sumerian epics, like those of Gilgamesh, hinting at real disasters that shaped collective memory. The fire pit before you isn't just a hearth but a classroom, a temple, a stage where the past speaks to the present. You're not just listening, you're witnessing history being kept alive. There's a quirky detail that catches your eye as the stories flow. The elder keeps a small stick, carved with notches, which he taps rhythmically against the stone. It's a memory aid, you learn, to mark the beats of the tale. You smirk, thinking of your old sticky notes, scribbled with to-do lists and half-forgotten ideas. There's something charming about this carved stick. this low-tech way of holding on to stories. You're tempted to ask for a closer look, but the elder's focus stops you. Besides, you're too caught up in the rhythm. The way his voice and the sticks tap weave a spell over the crowd. The night deepens, and the stories grow quieter, more personal. The woman with the bracelet shares a tale of her grandmother, a weaver whose patterns were said to hold magic. Her voice trembles, and you feel the ache of loss in her words. You're used to privacy, to keeping grief behind closed doors, but here it's shared. Laid bare by the fire. You shift uncomfortably, your ankle throbbing, and realize how exposed this world is. No walls, no filters, just raw humanity. You laugh under your breath, imagining posting this moment online. Live from 2000 BC, group therapy by firelight. You'd caption it, and no one would believe you. Scholars still debate how Bronze Age stories shaped social norms. Some argue they reinforced hierarchies, glorifying elite warriors and traders, while others see them as egalitarian, giving voice to every villager's experience. You feel both in this circle, the elder's authority, the woman's quiet power. The truth, as always, is messier, and you're just a listener, caught in the flicker of their flames. You wonder what these stories mean to them, what fears or hopes they carry into the night. As the fire burns low, the crowd thins. Villagers drifting to their huts. You linger, the beer gone, the fire's warmth fading. Your ankle aches, your body begs for rest, but you're struck by the resilience of this place. The way stories stitch it together against the dark. You think of your isolated life, screens, silence, convenience, and feel a mix of longing and awe. The stars are relentless, the Bronze Age unyielding, and you wonder what the final hours of this day will ask of you, as the embers glow and the night presses close. Part 15. The fire pit is nearly spent now, its embers pulsing faintly, like the last breaths of a long day. You're curled on the hard ground, your sprained ankle cradled beneath its herbal wrap, your crutch resting like a silent sentinel at your side. The village is hushed, wrapped in the deep, velvet dark, where only the soft rustle of straw or a distant goat's bleat punctuates the silence. The air is cool, scented with the fading warmth of wood smoke and the gentle dew settling over the fields. Your body aches, hunting, trading, crafting, enduring, but there's a stillness settling over you, a quiet that feels earned. The stars above are an endless sea, bright and unyielding, and as you lie here, you're ready to let this Bronze Age day slip away, carrying its lessons into the night. You shift slightly, the spiral-etched stones still tucked in your tunic. Its smooth weight a small anchor to this world. The day plays back in fragments, the river's icy bite as you hauled that clay jug, the stubborn bronze you hammered into a blade. The fire pit stories that wove the village together. Each moment was a test, a reminder of how fragile you are without your modern armor, your apps, your comforts, your safety nets. Yet these people, with their crude tools and fierce bonds, faced the same world and thrived. You think of the goddess figurine by the river, the healer's eye-shaped amulet, the notched stick tapping out tales. They're small, strange things, but they held this place together, and you feel a quiet awe for their stubborn heart. The fire's last ember flares, casting a fleeting glow across your hands, still raw from the day's work. You're not one of them, not really, but you've walked their paths, shared their fires, felt their fears. You chuckle softly, imagining telling your friends about this. Lived a day in 2000 BC, you'd say, and I'm never complaining about Wi-Fi again. They'd laugh, but they wouldn't grasp the weight of it, the way every step here was a choice to keep going, to carve meaning from a world that offers none. You think of your old life, its ease and isolation, and feel a warmth, not just from the embers but from the resilience you've glimpsed. A spark you'll carry back. Historically, the Bronze Age was a forge of human spirit. By 2000 BC, from Mesopotamia's rivers to the Indus Valley's plains, people built villages, traded goods, told stories, all while staring down drought, raids, and the unknown. The fire pit before you, now just ash, was their defiance, a light against the dark that said, We are here. You're not just a traveler in their day but a witness to their endurance, a thread in the tapestry of history. It's humbling, this glimpse of roots so deep they still shape the world you know. Even if you've forgotten how to see them, there's a final quirk that tugs at you as you lie here. The spiral stone in your tunic, maybe it's nothing, just a rock worn smooth by hands long gone. Or maybe it's a wish, a prayer, a mark of someone who looked at the stars and dreamed, just like you. You smile, thinking of your old habit of tossing coins into fountains, hoping for luck. There's something timeless in these small acts, these quiet hopes that bridge millennia. You press the stone gently, half believing it might carry you safely back to your time. Or at least keep the night's chill at bay. The village breathes softly around you, its people dreaming under the same stars. Your eyelids grow heavy, the day's weight pulling you down like a tide. You think of the trade journey you won't make, the rival fires you won't face, and feel a strange relief. You've lived their day, tasted their world, and it's enough. Scholars still debate what made the Bronze Age endure: bronze tools or human bonds, ingenuity or grit. You don't have the answer, but you feel it in the ash beneath your fingers. The story's echoing in your mind. It's messy, human, and more beautiful than any theory. Now you can close your eyes and let the currents of time take you away. The stars will keep watch. Their light a promise that history holds more secrets, more fires, more lives waiting to be known. You're not the same as you were at dawn, when the river's cold shocked you awake. You're heavier. Wiser, a little more whole. The Bronze Age fades, its lessons soft as embers, and you drift into sleep, the spiral stone warm against your skin, carrying you gently toward the dawn of your own world.